Open Mike Eagle. Welcome to the podcast.
What up, man? How you doing?
I'm good, man. Yo, this is a long time coming.
This is the longest time coming, man. We've known each other for a very long time. We've had this podcast for a very long time, and we've talked about doing this for a very long time.
Yeah, even pitched getting on Stony Island maybe like 4 or 5 times to you.
Well, I only remember the last time in which I was like, "Yeah, let's do it," and then we never talked about it.
We never. I mean, we can talk about it here. No.
Yeah, let's have the meeting.
Let's have the meeting. That meeting out loud. First of all, first I gotta say, even though we've been rocking with each other for so long, it is the anniversary of Dark Comedy, one of my favorite albums. So. Yeah. Me coinciding with my build up to episode 200, I'm glad that you're able to jump on this specific moment because I can even tell you about the first time I ever listened to Qualifiers and how it just blew my mind. And I was like, whoever this is my guy. And then for us to be actual friends after is absolutely insane.
Yeah, we must. I mean, I remember us meeting in 2018, I think we met.
Yeah, it's SummerSlam
20, I think it was 2018.
Mm-hmm. And I walked up to you and I was like, I forgot what I said, but I know it was shout out to Kyle Lewis. He was doing a show and Mega Ran was on the show, and then you were also doing that show. And then I saw you I was going there to say what up and maybe check it out, but I know I had some other thing, and I ran into you and you were eating, and I was like, yo, I was like, yo, man, you don't understand. I love your music.
And then we would go on to be like almost coworkers, almost. I wasn't able to experience your work because you were working out of the New York office, mm-hmm. Comedy Central, when mm-hmm. we were producing the New Negroes, which as you and I know is a whole nother conversation because the folks in y'all office scarred me.
Mm-hmm. Look, listen.
I don't know how much you want to go into.
No. But look, I'm gonna just say this because I'm always gonna pitch this podcast, even if it's just a podcast episode at this point, mm-hmm. right? Not on this podcast because this is my first kicks, but if this is just like a Secret Skin episode or something like that, I think
what had happened once.
Yeah, what had happened once. Oh my God, that would be perfect, to be honest.
What happened once, for
sure. But it's funny because this is when we actually, like, you started following me and then we would have conversations. And then I think, the first show after we became friends, I went to go see you, and that's when you gave me your number. And I was like, oh shoot, I got Open Mike Eagle's number. I remember telling all my friends, and they were like, who? And I was like, and then I remember because I was very cool with the talent people, and them being like, yo, we're doing this new shows called New Negroes, and I was like, that sounds familiar. And then I see you on the email because usually when the emails come through of like, hey, we picked up this show, it's like a thing, and you read it, and they do it for every show that they do. And I read it and I was like, oh, let's go. And I remember texting you immediately after and being like, yo, let's go. And I worked in stand-up at the time.
Okay.
So I was like, I remember talking to my boss and being like, yo, I'm so hyped for this. I can't wait to see how this is going to do, blah, blah, blah. And then, we know what happens after. But
it went super sideways is what happened. We'll have to talk. We'll have to figure out when we can talk about that and record it and upload that on my feed somewhere.
For sure. Yeah, but look, you're here.
I am.
Long time coming, and now you're here to answer the question that I ask everybody each week, and that question is, what's your first kicks? What's that first pair of sneakers you absolutely needed to have?
So when I was in, I think it was the 4th grade. It was either 3rd or 4th grade. And this is in the middle of like real talk Jordan mania. When I remember there being a lot of stories mm-hmm. in my neighborhood on the south side of Chicago about people getting jacked for Jordans and starter jackets.
Okay. And the Charlotte joint, the classic?
I don't even remember if there was a specific team. Like,
mm-hmm. I feel like the Raiders and the Charlotte starters were going crazy.
Charlotte for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But me and my sister, our grandparents got us, I think it was a Christmas gift. They got us Jordan 4s when they were new. And man, I put on them damn shoes and felt like a superhero. Like I legitimately felt like I could jump higher as a child. Like they just felt like powerful,
Yeah.
And then
That's crazy. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it was really wild. And as far as I can remember, like that was the only expensive pair of shoes that I ever had as a kid. And I think like because we lived with our grandparents, I think they looked at the cost benefit analysis of spending that much money on shoes and how I was not going to take care of them
Yeah.
very well, And
Yeah.
then I didn't see another Jordan until I was a full grown adult. After
That's, I mean, look, I do wonder the significance of like growing up, because this is 89, right?
yeah,
Because that's when Jordan 4s came out. And so you got an OG pair, and like living in Chicago during the height of Jordan, like,
right. It's the height of the Bulls. Yeah, the
yeah.
Bulls are it's all kids want. Like literally be like Mike, like the old
Hmm.
commercial. That's all anybody ever wanted. So like getting these shoes was like the closest you could get. But I also was in an elementary school that was legitimately in the projects.
Hmm.
So this was not a safe idea. You know what I'm saying?
That was gonna be my next
Yeah,
question.
it was not a safe idea. Now nothing ever happened, but yeah, it just wasn't the sort of situation that you wanted to send your child with expensive shoes into.
Hmm. Do you? So I've wondered this growing up, and I'm glad you brought this up, because I used to hang out in the project. I used to hang out in the projects where Nori grew up. So like I would
This is
see,
Queens?
yeah, Queens,
Okay.
Left Rack City, and so like you would walk around, you see Nori, you
Mhm.
see like Capone just chilling out on the block, whatever. But it didn't like, I don't remember it being dangerous. Like
Mm.
at what point did you realize, oh snap, I grew up in a dangerous area?
Well, okay, so this is a story from right around the same time for me.
Hmm.
We had a new kid in our classroom. So I think this is 4th grade.
Hmm.
Um and this kid, he was kind of cool. Just a dark skinned kid with a big old afro because there were still kids with little afros at that time. Like,
Hmm.
um, and he was sitting in the back of the class and he used to lean back in his chair a lot. And the teacher always used to tell him stop leaning back in his chair. And he ended up leaning back in his chair again. And like he wasn't even like an asshole. He was just like he couldn't control it, you know. So one
Yeah.
day, we're just in class. I don't remember what the hell we were studying or learning about or whatever.
Hmm.
But we just heard this boom, this crash. And everybody started laughing because we knew the kid had fell and, and which is what happens.
Yeah.
But he hadn't just fallen, he had passed out.
What?
He had passed out
Hmm.
and he had gotten taken to the hospital. And a report came back to us in the classroom, came back to the teacher, and she shared with all of us that his system was full of cocaine.
What?
Yes. And the way that she was trying to rationalize it was that maybe he had an older sibling that was like selling or something,
Uh-huh.
but his entire system was just like full of coke. Like he basically, like he damn near OD'd
That's crazy.
just chilling in class.
Mhm.
Um, and like so, like for the rest of that week, we didn't even have any like regular study. It was all like intense dare sessions with like, you know what I'm saying, with just the dangers of drugs and shit. Like the
Yeah.
whole rest of that week, you know. And it was like, yeah, shit was real. Shit was really real. Like we was really into projects, really in the late 80s, early 90s crack era, like full blown.
Hmm.
And that shit was just everywhere. Like our elementary school, like I said, was in projects called the Prairie Courts, I believe.
Hmm.
I lived about a mile away in these buildings called Lake Meadows, which was like they were high rises, but they weren't projects. They were like full of mostly old people. So
Yeah.
we were living with my grandparents. Um, I can remember like at one point living in those projects became so dangerous that all of the kids that lived there had gotten these like official IDs.
Whoa. Okay.
right? Like, and I used to get roasted because I didn't have an ID. So if I had for some reason wanted to go into one of the project buildings, I couldn't. So I used to get roasted for not having that sort of status symbol.
For some reason, I remember the Kendrick thing where he's like, "What set you from? Where your mama stay? Where your grandma stay?" But instead they're like, "Where's your ID?"
Right. Right. It was really real like that.
That's crazy. It's like, I mean, even thinking about like growing up around the projects, it doesn't seem like the projects until you get older and you're looking back at it. Like when you're a kid, I feel like it's a lot more. I don't know if this is the right word to say, but fun.
So, my cousin lived in these different projects, the Robert Taylor homes, and my family spent a lot of time hanging out over there with like that's like my first cousin. So like my grandmother's sister had an apartment over there, and my grandmother's mother lived in that apartment too. Like they had been there for generations, basically.
Yeah.
So
This is what Brick Body Kids.
exactly.
Yeah.
That Brick Body Kids album is about my auntie's building. Now, when I was over there playing with my cousin and his friends, it was like equal parts fun and dangerous. Like the prairie courts around my school, like I didn't experience the danger of that too much. But when I was over in the Robert Taylors, like, you know, it was like pissy elevator.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like go in the house because they shooting, like that sort of situation. Like it was much more real over there.
That's insane. I don't know. Look, you're here now.
Yeah, I'm like, I gotta remind my nervous system I'm good now.
Yeah, you're good.
I'm in Inglewood, but it's not, you know what I'm saying? It's not the South Side in 91, you know.
Oh man. I mean, you touched a little bit on like it took until, you know, you were in your adulthood to get another pair of Jordans, but like what did you care about sneakers, or was it this is where you took the like I'm only copping vinyls, or, you know, like where you know, like what was the shift?
My deal with this, man, was this. Like in college, I never had a bunch of money. So like I would get like a pair of sneakers like once or twice a year, basically. And I was just so into like hip hop, like doing the shit that I was never like super concerned with with sneakers. And then when I started like performing, I kind of had like this. It was like something between preppy hippie style. See, the thing was when I first started performing, I was a teacher too.
Right. Yeah.
So I used to like to wear shit that I could wear to school and then also wear to the show after.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it was always this weird line of like why you got a button up on those days? Like that type of that type of fits, right? So like I wasn't into sneakers then either. And
yeah,
I got into wearing these shoes that were like the closest thing I could think of. They were like Toms almost. They were like these hard slipper joints that didn't have much structure.
but
And
they
I wore
weren't Toms.
I mean, they weren't actual Toms. Like I don't even know how to describe them because they had a little more structure than a Tom.
Okay,
but like they weren't like leather or nothing. You know what I'm saying?
I'm
like
trying to think. I'm trying to even think of the shoe then.
yeah, like I got like they were almost like them slip on Vans.
Okay, yeah,
kind of like that, like canvas joints like that. And I wore them for years, but like I said, like they had no structure to them really. Like the sole was not made of nothing. And I remember I was on tour with Aesop Rock. This had to be like 2015, somewhere around there. And I was like, my motherfucking feet hurt. And we were playing in Detroit.
And Ace is a sneakerhead, so I'm pretty sure. Well, he was. I don't know if he is now, but
I don't remember his relationship to sneakers. I don't remember it being a conversation with him. Like it was more of a conversation with Rob Sonic, who was on the tour with us too.
Yeah.
But like I went to the mall in Detroit, and I got a pair of all black Huaraches.
There you go. There
Yeah.
you go.
And my motherfucking feet felt like heaven. Heaven. I was like, what the fuck have I been doing my whole life? Buying these fucking whack ass shoes. And them Huaraches wasn't even expensive. And the thing about Huaraches is like, I remember when I was in like later on in elementary school, I used to be tripping over. Like I thought Huaraches was like the coolest looking
Oh
shoes
yeah,
in the
yo.
world. Like I thought that little logo was sick as fuck. Like I used to be so I was like, wait a minute. I can buy the shit I wanted when I was little. You know what I'm saying? And then Huaraches wasn't even expensive like that.
Yeah.
So then I just started only wearing Huaraches like for the next like few years after that. And then like that kind of ushered me back into like just buying sneakers. Like I got a bunch of a bunch of shit right over there behind me. Like way too many. Way too many. Now I be getting roasted because I got too many sneakers. Some shit I don't even wear. I got a pair of Jordans right now in the box I never wore. It's like some like the new kind of 11s, like the low top. I got a pair. Like I won't wear them. I don't want to fuck them up.
Listen, shoes are decent me more. Look, if you
I
want to see
know.
you want to see my closet, I'll send you a picture of my closet. Like, what the hell? I got the Tekken foams. I've been wearing those. Like
that sounds beautiful. I don't even know what that is. Tekken foams.
I'll show you after.
Okay.
But yeah. So I mean, to catch you up on that, but Nike dropped 2 Tekken foams, right? They just recently dropped Jin's foams, which is white with like lightning strikes on it.
Wow.
And then I have the Kazuya's, which is like based off of his jacket.
Oh shit.
And it's like scale. It's fire. I'll show it to you. And then on the bottom it's got the fist and what's it called? Fist and
the Iron Fist tournament?
No. It's like, well, you know, in the beginning of the fight of every match, it's always like fist and something. I'll show it to you after. I mean, I don't know if you're a big FGC guy.
I like Tekken, but I like Tekken.
Tekken's my joint, yeah.
Like Tekken's one of my favorite fighting games of all time, but I haven't really like mastered a Tekken since like Tekken Tag Tournament. You know what I'm saying? Like it's been a bunch of years.
When I was playing Tekken Tag, it was mostly just for Tekken Bowl.
Tekken Bowl was the shit, and the volleyball was the shit.
And like volleyball was fire.
Yeah, that shit was hard.
They had some great mini games, and I'll be like, then people just 10 combo me, and I'll be like, "Bro, see me on the lanes, yo. See me on the lanes, bro."
That's when I used to know combos and shit. Like I used to be really good with like fucking what's his was Lei Wulong in Tekken Tag Tournament, or was he just in Tekken 3?
I think Lei Wulong was on. Yeah, because he's the one. He's drunken style, right?
Yeah, he had all the different.
He's the Jackie Chan. Yeah, he's Jackie Chan. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I can get with Lin Xiao Yu. You know what I'm saying? I'll fuck you up back then, like.
Man, so yeah, you're talking about the Huaraches, and I think Huaraches are really dope because it's funny because it's connected to Jordan still, because Jordan wore the Huaraches in the Olympics. And
okay, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he had that pair. He had the purple and the OG colorway, which is like white, purple, and
like
green, I think.
Or something. Yeah. I know what you're talking about though.
Yeah, and those
it was white, but like the little sock thing was like greenish. Yeah.
And so that shoe is absolutely insane, and to me. And then, I mean, you were saying like, you know, recently, or I mean, not recently. So then adulthood happened, right? You playing these shows, and you know, I always find it funny because like, even though I've interviewed a couple other artists such as yourself, you know, and hip hop is so synonymous with like sneakers and streetwear culture. It's like, and then, you know, you're in, especially like when I first started following you and listening to you, it was like the height of like underground hip hop. Like you had, you know, the Def Jux era, and like mainly for me, the Def Jux era. And the Rhyme Sayers, yeah. And so, I mean, MF Doom, shout out Doom, you know, him getting his own SB.
I got them De La Soul joints. I don't know what I think that's an SB too. Is the De La Soul joints?
De La Soul SBs.
That's the only other pair of shoes I have. That and a pair of Jordan 11s that I just won't wear.
You gotta. I have both De La Souls. I wore the high top De La Souls to Dante's book signing.
See, I can't, man. They look too cool. I don't want to fucking get them dirty.
Yo, look, you get sneaker cleaner, man. You just get a little sneaker cleaner, hit him with the sneaker cleaner
I
after.
mean, I feel you. I just got like 40 other pairs of shoes I could wear. So, you know.
Look, I think I'm at like 200,
Oh yeah,
200
I ain't
something.
nowhere near that. I'm gonna count real quick. Hold up. I'm gonna do
All
some
right, all right.
quick math.
Okay.
12, 12. That's about 50 in there.
Yeah.
About 50 in
You
there.
know, some light, some light,
Yeah, something light.
some light.
Something light. I had to give a bunch away that I
Why?
realized I wasn't gonna wear no more.
Why? And how come?
I think I just wore them out, fucked them up, and like I don't like to wear, like, since I have options, I don't like to wear them after they look too fucked up.
Mhm.
Like, and I probably should have hit them with the sneaker cleaner years ago and didn't, so they look shitty. So I had to give them away.
Nah, no, I'm with you on that. Once you feel like, all right, man, I don't think I'm wearing these anymore. Yeah, they just start collecting dust, and
Yeah, man.
I'm at that. I'm trying to find a way to give away some sneakers too, because like these is not. I'm never gonna wear them again. I don't think I'm gonna put them on and be like, all right, cool. Like even though like I go to a lot of shows, and so the one thing I do hate is when people step on my shoes.
Right.
So
So you don't
yeah,
want to wear your cleanest shit to the
right.
show. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll rotate in like the stuff that I think is I'm about to be like, all right, cool, whatever. Step on my feet.
Right.
Like it's funny. I bought a pair. There's a shoe that it's called the general purpose shoe. It's called a GPS, right?
Mm.
Nike put out this shoe, and it's supposed to be like you're supposed to just wear it every single day. And I'm wearing it, whatever. And so far, it was looking clean. It was looking clean, and it's an all gray shoe. And
Mm.
then I decide I'm thinking like, oh, let me go to the show, and this is like my everyday shoe. It's whatever. Like even if it gets dirty, I don't think anybody's gonna really step on me. Guess what show I went to?
What show did you go to?
Danny Brown.
Ah, yo.
But yo, my
You
shoe
got
was
you got
black
you got
as it.
blunt guts all over your shoe and shit. Yeah, you're toast at that point.
And the worst part was I was pretty tired that day, so I was like, I'm not gonna get in the pit. But then I ran into Ari Shafir, and Ari dragged me into the pit.
God damn it. That's a tall dude to be dragging you around too.
Yeah, that was just. I mean, it was funny, but so I definitely want to talk about like your journey in hip hop, which is now recently with previous industries and
Mhm, mhm.
you know, but like coming out of Chicago and moving to LA, like what was the culture shock of like rapping out in Chicago, with Still Riff and the gang, and then entering Project Blode.
Well, I had been to Project Blode a few times before that
Mm-hmm.
because I used to come visit my pops out here when I
Mm-hmm.
was in high school and well, even in elementary school. But when I started coming out in high school, I was rapping. So, and I'd heard of the Project Blode from AC Alone's first album. So like
Mm-hmm.
96, no, 90, is that 95? Might have been 95 when he put All Balls Don't Bounce out. So
Yeah.
I heard of the Project Blode. I saw, the video to Mic Check, like he's at the Blode and you see all these heads and shit. And like, to me, it looks like, oh my God. And you listen to it, we come for the glory of the B-Boy Kingdom. Like, you know, I thought it was going to be like this magical haven
Mm-hmm.
for like a hip hop artist collective. And it was, but it was also very much influenced by LA gangbang culture.
Really? Oh, I didn't know
Oh,
this.
yeah. Like where the Blode is, 43rd and Lemert, it's like the edge of two different hoods.
Mm.
So there's just a lot of tension in that neighborhood anyway. And then a lot of the rappers was from different sets. So like there was a heavy feeling of territorialism. Um, because when I started coming around there in like 96, 97 or whatever, you know, it was 91, 92, like that was like the worst time.
Yeah.
Like the worst time. Like, you talk to the OGs now,
Mm-hmm.
like they was getting pressed walking home from school,
Wow.
you know, like and they didn't even give a fuck if you rap. Like if you know what I'm saying, it was on just based on you not being for whatever set you was walking through back then. Like,
Jeez. Yeah.
um, so what I wasn't prepared for was that part of the DNA of the Blode.
Mm-hmm.
So where like I had a lot of like arguments with heads, um, just because it kind of had to be that because I wasn't about to leave.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And it's very much like, "Nigga, you ain't from here?" Like, and I'm like there though. Like, I'm not going nowhere. Like,
Yeah.
so, there's a lot of headbutting with that, a lot of
Where'd you learn to stand your ground like that?
I mean, I don't even know if there was a particular place I learned it. I just like, man, Ben Caldwell, who
Mhm.
owns the building that the Project Blode is in, and he's been a film teacher and a filmmaker forever, and has been a real patron for the arts in the Lemert Park area. So
Mhm.
he's like, probably 60 something years old, but he fostered the Project Blode.
Mhm.
He told me a couple years ago. He said from when he first saw me, he knew, and this is his words, I was in it to win it. Like, I wasn't bullshit,
Yeah.
you know. But I think part of that is due to, like, I had completed college already.
Yeah.
Like, I was a grown person,
Mhm.
So, like, I don't know, like, the antics weren't gonna phase me really,
Right, yeah.
and I was learning so much from the people who did see what I was trying to do and respected what I was trying to do and understood that, like, the generation I came with, we were gonna be the next generation to, like, keep the shit going.
Mhm.
Like, by the time I got there, um, the OGs who had major label deals, all that shit was done.
Yeah.
Now they had established the independent scene, which is amazing.
Mhm.
Um, but part of how this whole thing kept going was through, like, indie labels
Mhm.
signing cats, investing in them,
Right.
and then everybody would connect back to Project Blode, and they keep shouting it out, and then, like, that's how the underground was happening. By
Right.
the time I got to the table, by the time my generation got to the table, all them indie labels folded.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So it was really on us
Mhm.
to figure out how to adapt to the social media era, to figure out how to get our names known in these conversations and these message boards. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? Like, it was really on us.
Posting on OK Player, like, every
Yeah.
night. Yeah, yeah.
Okay Player, Filler Flavor, the
Mhm.
Access music boards, like,
Mhm.
Galapagos 4 boards. Um, it was really on us. The old heads wasn't gonna do that, you
Mhm.
know? I remember the old heads on the Project Blode boards getting mad at the fans and shit. Like, they just didn't have a stomach for that kind of feedback from
Yeah.
people. So they, after a while they realized, like, we're here to carry the torch.
Mhm.
And eventually they passed it to us.
That's crazy. I mean, these for the record, these are not questions I ask him in person.
Yeah, no, we never talked about none of
We
this shit.
never
I
talk
didn't,
about
I wouldn't even have thought you was interested in this
this.
shit,
I'm very
honestly.
interested. Uh, this is the problem when you have a podcast. All the interesting questions you want to just have in conversation. You'd be like, let me tuck that for when we talk
That's
on
true. That's true. See, I don't even know what you was holding. I don't even know what you was holding.
uh, but it's like so. It's interesting because as a person, look, I'll give you a little bit of my background. When I was in high school, obviously I wanted to be a rapper. Didn't work out for me. That's why we're here today. But I fell in love with underground hip hop to the point where I was on a lot of these forums, and I
Mhm.
wasn't Don Will becoming a moderator out here, but like I was
Shout
very
out to
talkative.
Tanya Morgan.
Shout out Tanya Morgan.
Hell yeah.
But it's like I was part of just like going to these underground shows of like 50 people in
Mhm.
somebody's basement. I was going to a lot of this stuff, and it's part of the Q&5 fam. Like I love, like I was always mess with like Tone Deaf, Pac FM, all of them,
That's
like
what's up.
from the jump, right? So the New York scene, it's very insular, right? Like if you only fuck with the New York scene, you're only gonna know about the New York rappers. Shout out
Mhm.
Pete, rest in peace, Pumpkinhead, like and
Rest in
like
peace, Pumpkinhead, for sure.
you know,
Poison Pen.
Poison
Yeah.
Pen, everybody in the Plague, like it's like everybody listening to this is be like, what the hell are these guys talking about? But but
Shut up.
yeah, but it's interesting because you don't get to hear a lot about the West Coast stuff when you're over here.
Well, and it's the same over here. That was another realization to even and not to intentionally loop back to the question you asked, but that
Mhm.
was a thing that I didn't know till I got here too, was that there was this robust LA West Coast underground thing
Mhm.
that me, who has spent my whole life in Illinois, either in Chicago or Carbondale while I went to school, like if somebody had a major label deal, you'd hear about them. You hear about AC Alone, you hear about Abstract Rude.
Right.
But between Seattle, Portland, the Bay Area, LA, San Diego, there was this whole ass underground movement. Old Dominion up in Seattle, Mystic Journeyman in the Bay, and how they came together with LA Heads to form Living Legends. Like, what I learned was the underground was really all about these touring loops.
Yeah.
And so to this day, you got underground heads that connect to that West Coast movement from, Seattle, Portland, the college towns in Oregon, Humboldt County in Northern California, Bay Area, LA, San Diego, Phoenix, New Mexico, you going up to Colorado, Salt Lake City, like that whole Western region loop.
Wow.
Because that was what you could do.
Yeah.
And like really book a solid tour as an underground act. Like that was your loop. You know what I'm saying?
That's
Salt
like
Lake City, Boise,
right.
to the northwest. Yeah.
That's like when dudes from New York would do like the Fungwa to Boston.
Yes.
And then from Boston, you go to, Connecticut, whatever.
Yeah.
Come back.
Rhode Island or whatever. Like, and then you go south to like DC or whatever the fuck. Like, but because of the way the country is set up, a lot of that West Coast shit didn't get past the Mississippi. So like me in Illinois, I didn't know about a lot of that shit.
Yeah. So
I had to get a whole education in what was popping out here in the underground because I didn't know about so much of it. Like you'd hear about a Murs because Murs was working with Knife Wonder and doing shit with Def Jux.
Right, yeah.
But the majority of the underground heads out here wasn't doing that.
No, yeah. The first time I heard AC Alone was on Tony Hawk Underground.
Wow.
So that's that game probably opened up my brain to like some crazy stuff because that's what I heard. That's what you hear Imaginary Places by Bus Driver, and I used to be a monster at that game. So I had that whole soundtrack memorized, bro. So
stuff like that was big. Like we don't realize that at the time too, how big stuff like that was.
Yeah, I mean, you got music in a game now, right now.
I got a little music in Fortnite. I got a little music in 2K22. I think it's 22.
I think it's probably 22.
It's either 22 or 21, but I think it's 22.
It's definitely because I remember it being like, oh snap, that's Open Mike Eagle.
Yeah, I think it's 22. Man, but that shit's huge. That's huge. Like you can't beat that for exposure. I mean, it don't mean the same thing it used to mean. Because there were a lot less consoles, a lot less big games. Everybody was playing more of the same shit back then. So if you had a song like Tony Hawk, like that was a huge fucking deal. But
so like when I texted you about you being in your song being in an episode of Brilliant Minds, you weren't like, I was like, oh my God, and you were like, yeah, it's all right. So, but like, explain that to me.
So, like most things in music, getting a sync license doesn't pay like it used to. So like that's kind of it's I think it's just a lot of just me being jaded, where it's just hard to get as excited about that as you used to, and I think I was in the middle of fighting to get paid for it too. Like,
oh really?
And it's not fight like somebody was trying to hold it back from me. It's just like there's a certain amount of hoops you got to jump through
to make sure.
It? Well, no, to make sure that because you've already made the deal for it well before. It airs in the episode, but then it's like, well, okay, now okay, it's aired, so now I need my check. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we got a smaller operation over here, so it's a little more like pulling teeth to get shit done. But it all got taken care of. It was all good. It was just like, you caught me in the rough part.
Man, I see, but so like me as a fan / friend, like for me, I'm like, oh snap, like remember I texted you when the Shy posted Brick Body Kids had
that
album.
That shit was exciting for me too. Yeah. Even though Did I ever tell you why my little bitterness about the shot? Did I ever tell you that? I don't know if I
Nah.
ever. Okay.
You
Um,
want this on record?
I don't care. It's all good. Back when this was in kind of pre New Negro, but just pre New Negroes days,
Hmm.
I was doing a lot of like auditioning. Like I was really trying to act.
Okay, okay.
Um, and I had auditioned for one of the roles in The Shy.
Ooh, okay.
And I really like I did good. Like I think I got a call back for that one.
Hmm.
I know I worked really hard on the audition, and this might have been one of my first auditions, but I was like really pissed I didn't get it. I was like really fucking mad. Like that, I had to learn that hard lesson. And like that's acting. Acting is putting your heart and soul into an audition, and you know, you gotta let go completely.
Oh
And
yeah,
just
it's got
coming from music, that was hard for me to do, you know?
right. Yeah. Is it because music is more everlasting? Like you put it out and then you're able to put it out yourself. You get instant feedback of like, yeah, I fuck with it, I don't fuck with it.
Mhm.
And then versus being like, I don't know if they like what I just read, you know? Or
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
that's certainly part of it
yeah.
is the feedback part of it, because that's the thing with I don't know if you've auditioned, but like
No.
the, it's almost like the default. Like if they don't like it,
Hmm.
you'll never hear from them, and you'll never hear why.
Yeah.
You know, like you just that they don't like. That's not how that works. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like they don't really give a fuck how you feel about having spent a whole lot of time practicing, because they're not really there to foster relationships. They're there
Y-
to like fucking staff the thing. You know, like
Yeah, exactly.
they don't
That
care.
to me that seems like so I was unemployed twice and it's like resume. I was pumping out
Yeah, it's like that.
20 resumes a day for
It's
like
like that.
6 months, bro. And that
It's
you
like that.
don't maybe you'll hear like three responses.
It's very similar to that.
Yeah.
And
So
because I think, but I understand it more when it comes to hiring, because to me that feels like a cold thing already, is
mhm.
working for somebody. Does it, like I don't expect the warm fuzzies and shit, right?
Yeah.
But like with creative stuff, I feel more like I need something back.
Mhm.
And I think because of music, I'm used to getting something back, you know.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
it's hard for me to not to hold on to that entitlement, you know.
Mhm. I mean, it's definitely interesting. I definitely want to go back to like, the start well putting out because we mentioned music putting out dark comedy
Mhm.
and that process of like because I felt like I don't know if this is gonna sound terrible but like I felt like you were the only one doing that type of like let me do introspective
Mhm.
like slash humor like I'm not gonna take myself too serious.
Right.
And then at the same time, you were working with Hannibal Buress, and it's like the first time anybody heard Hannibal spit
Rap. Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the, I mean, one actually, I'm gonna switch my question up. Like coming back, thinking about like the journey that this album has taken you on. Like, did you think putting that out was gonna make you, do this or like, build towards this
I
crazy discography as well?
I didn't. I mean, I worked hard on it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I did feel like I was becoming more seasoned in how to like be a recording artist, so I felt like I was doing a better job of like crafting my ideas and shit, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But this was my fourth album,
Right. Yeah.
and so it's a sort of thing where yeah, like when you put out your first album, you feel like you're gonna change the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you feel like you're gonna be on the cover of Time magazine, and
This is
they're
the
gonna
one.
right,
This is the one, yo.
they're gonna invite you to the White House and shit. Like you just that's the spirit, that's the ambition you have then, and then you kind of um you learn more of the practical way to manage your expectations after
Right.
that, right? And you understand this is the underground, these are independent labels, these are small things. So everything is
Mm-hmm.
kind of just like you take a step and a step and a step and a step. But like between 2013 and 2015, and that album came out in 2014, I was able to like do a bunch of shit that seemed like, oh, at the end of that, oh, this does seem like a level up,
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't go into it expecting that. No.
I mean, look, I could probably recite the whole album front to back if you just play the beats. But
Wow.
the
I would love to see that.
don't test me. But it's like it's interesting because not to compare you to somebody, but like one thing I remember when Lil Dicky dropped. And he was like, "I want to be the rapper, the comedy rapper, not the rapper
I
comedy,
was real
whatever."
mad. I was real
Yeah,
mad. Yeah.
and I was already like, "Oh, this is open mic already did this already."
Right.
And the idea of just comedy and music together where I'm on this journey right now to make it a little bit about me, where it's just like I want to mix sneakers and music so bad, right? Where I can create this like individual lane, right? And you created this lane that nobody else was doing. Nobody's over here, being like self-deprecating and also making these hilarious jokes within a track, right? It's interesting to see somebody take something that you work so hard on and then elevate it to now he has his own show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it I don't know, do you feel like there's like what do you feel about that? Especially because I feel that there are definitely now I think it's more commonplace.
Well, I'll say this. Professional jealousy is an emotion I'm very familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
Me and professional jealousy have spent a lot of time together.
Yeah.
And that, Little Dicky's rise in particular was something that did not feel good to me in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because in addition to me feeling um, like I didn't feel like it was mine to control like that relationship with comedy and music, but I
Mm-hmm.
did feel like that was the same sort of product I was trying to provide, and I
Right.
felt like he had a leg up being a white artist,
Mm-hmm.
and so because there's this whole conversation in hip hop about like, is there a white privilege in hip hop sometimes? And I think that there is to a certain degree, just because we live in a white country. You know
Right.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I think
Yeah.
there's this default thing where people are going to be open to something that looks like them.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when this is a brand of hip hop that is less traditional. So um, the face of it does not necessarily need to be the blackest person. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Because it's
Yeah.
already like this alt sort of hip hop. So
Yeah.
it's easier for somebody who looks like the majority of the population to sort of get a foothold there. But all that to say too, it's not like he's not talented. It's not like he's not good at what he does.
Right. Yeah.
Um, and when I was talking to Dante Ross, because Dante Ross peeped Lil Dicky way early and kind of knew he was going to be huge.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Dante said you could tell he had his shit together very early, and he was
Yeah.
aiming high very early.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't fault that either. I can't fault people for using their resources to get where they're trying to go. Um, what I think the only thing that I would have liked for him to do more is just be a little more like reverential to the culture.
Yeah. Agreed.
That's really it. Aside from that, like I don't have any like real beef with him. I just got
Mm-hmm.
professional jealousy with him. You
Yeah.
know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
It's definitely interesting because you talk about professional jealousy, and I feel like in sneakers, to harken this back to sneakers, that's we see a lot of that now. I don't know if you scroll through social medias and you see like white faces are more successful within
Mm,
sneakers versus saying like someone like me who's just like I just want to tell other people's stories using sneakers, right? Versus somebody who's just like this is what's new. I want you to check this out. Give me your clicks. Give me your likes. I'm gonna bring you basically filler content
mm,
to get to the masses, right? um I think, and this is what and previously, like on other podcasts I'll be like I consider myself the underground of this,
mhm,
because what I'm trying to do is akin to just giving people their flowers within the community, right? And when you are so genuine and you want to be so like inclusive of everybody, it's like people are kind of just like, I'll get to it when I get to it.
Right.
And I feel like that is so similar to underground hip hop, where it's like once people finally get to it, the crowds are crazy. Like everybody's in like when I go to your shows, everybody, it's like I remember going to an earlier version of your shows and then the shows that were recently
Yeah.
now. And I feel like it went from, you know, this is like such a regional example, but like it went from, you know, the Knitting Factory small room into elsewhere, right?
Yeah.
Where you're you know you're it's like, but that's mostly because people are like, yo, we got a community, right?
Yeah.
And to segue this into QDTR, you built a crazy community that I feel like it created like diehards that are like willing to follow you everywhere. And
I mean,
so
it's yeah. I've definitely been fortunate when it comes to community. I think that it gets a little tricky too, because a lot of the community I build is full of people who are like my age, and they don't come out the house a lot. And I don't blame them. I don't fucking blame them. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's rough. Like, you know, you use all the effort it takes to come out, and then there's a room full of fucking young people, and it's not, you know, like I totally get it. I
yeah,
totally get it.
these kids, let me tell you, I went to a Lord Sco show because I went to, you know, Dante was here. I got to support the stimulated people. Shout out to
That's
the
what's up.
peoples.
Shout out
Yeah.
to Stimulated.
Yeah. And so I went to the Lord Sco show. So what up to everybody? Everybody's chill. Everybody's chill. Yo, these kids, it was like, it felt like I got transported back to the 90s, like a shit.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I was in Lion's Den watching people battle rap on mcbattles.com or some shit like that. Like it was just nothing but like kids smoking cigarettes. Everybody's in baggy jeans.
Yeah.
Like this one kid, yo, I was dressed regular. This one kid comes up to me and I could tell he was like 17, 18, whatever. And like he pulls up to me just like, he's like, yo, I love the fit. 2010s, right? I was like,
oh, shit. Yo, that belongs in an episode of some television show. That's too good. That's too good. That's too good. That's so fucking funny. Damn.
Oh man. But shout out Dante, man. He put on a great show. That was, but yeah, I mean, look, you know, your shows are awesome. And so, yeah, I think that QDTR saved a lot of people's
it did.
COVID.
It was important to a lot of folks. Myself, obviously, but it was important to a lot of folks for sure.
And the world got to witness Video Dave, and you know, and I think that yes, you're right about community, because even though within the online community you also have, you know, your personal community that you've brought people in on as well, because when you go on tour you bring your guys. And I think that's like a lot more people need to do that more. I feel like not many are really doing that.
I mean, it's rough, man. Shit. Yeah. It's we already on thin margins, and now we're splitting money up. You know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't easy, but I do think it's important to expand my world past just me. You know, I feel like I tell people this all the time, but I feel like at the end of the day, pop culture on every level is really team sports.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
for sure.
Like if you have a flag that has one person's name on it, not a lot of people are going to fly that flag. You know what I'm saying? If you have a flag that's a team that person's in and also inviting you to be in, then you feel like you can start a movement there. Like I saw that really emphasized with Run the Jewels.
Yes.
You know, like that, like or Wu-Tang, like, you know what I'm saying? It's about something that's bigger than one person, and it gives people an opportunity to buy in and feel like they're a part of something, you know.
I can't ask the question that I want to ask, so we just move on to the next one.
Oh, that's interesting. I wasn't even following. I don't know what was about to happen there.
Nah, look, I'll bring up the I'll say it and then you can just go pass.
Okay.
I'll be like, but to mention Hellfyre Club.
Yeah, yeah. I don't no problem talking about Hellfire
No,
Club.
I was just gonna say, like, that was like a collective I always look forward to.
And yeah, and that is exactly what that was,
Yeah.
and was starting to become, right?
Hmm.
But I think ultimately, that is not what it was built to be when it was
Hmm.
first created, and so it couldn't handle the weight of that.
Yeah.
Like that's like there's a messier way to talk about what happened, but like that's the fundamental fact of it, is that it was started to be one thing,
Hmm.
which was a record label curated by one person,
Right.
and it ended up becoming this collective thing
Hmm.
that structurally it wasn't able to be that. So it fell apart, you know?
True. Yeah. I still bump Werner Herzog. All right.
Yeah, Warner Herzog is the shit. The whole Dorner versus Tukey
Yeah.
fucking mixtape. That shit is
That
hard.
is hard. It is hard. Everybody listening to this, you need to don't stop. Finish the episode, and
Finish
then finish the episode. Go download, buy it.
I mean, I
Bandcamp.
don't even know what. Oh, is it still on Bandcamp?
I don't know.
I need to be sniffing around for some royalties.
Better send an email, man. Be like, yo, let me. Who's got what email is under the account
That
on
is
this one
so
right
funny.
here? But you know, Hellfire Club was definitely like, yeah. I feel like I think it's like you got a taste of like what it was to
Yeah.
be in that sort of way, and now with Stony Island,
Mhm.
you got. Is it like it's a whole entire album? Like what is it's a record label / podcast
I mean,
network.
it ain't no record label. It's a podcast roster. You know what I'm saying?
Well, wait, what did you put Previous Industries out on? Is it
Oh,
something
that's
else?
on Merge. That's on
Oh,
Merge
okay,
Records. That's
okay,
on a
okay.
whole nother label. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, you know what I wanted to actually ask you about is so the current because I didn't get to really ask this to anybody on here. I only basically asked it to like Cavalier in person,
Mm.
but and I think Quelle in person too. But you being such a veteran of this game, right? And now we've seen the rise of what somebody like Billy Woods has been able to do, and you've got to interview Billy Woods about his rise as well. But the current underground now has been taken aback by like abstract hip hop, and I don't know if we need to, I guess, credit that to like the Alchemist, or should we
I
credit?
mean, I think he's a huge part of that.
Yeah, but or like Earl, I feel like Earl is
Well,
definitely.
yeah, I feel like Earl and the Alchemist together
Hmm.
have created a platform that's given shine to a lot of people that wouldn't have gotten it otherwise.
Hmm.
That they're inviting people to listen to Woods and the Lucid and Quelle. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just it creates this opportunity where people are lending an ear and leaning in where they might not have been before.
Yeah,
So I think their relationships and their taste making is very important in bringing the scene to where it is right now.
and I mean, so now you're. I don't know. Do you consider yourself adjacent to it, or you consider yourself part of it?
I think adjacent is probably the closest I could realistically claim. Like I have relationships to certain people within that, but I am
Hmm.
not in that. Like,
Like we won't be able to see a open mic eagle with Mike,
I
like
mean, I
type
like
of.
Mike, and me and
Yeah,
Mike been
Mike.
mutuals on Twitter for years. Like, I still feel like I feel like there's potential there. We don't have a relationship, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But
Hmm.
there's potential there. Like and Mike too. Like Mike is also getting glow in like that Danny Brown, JPEG, like that
Hmm.
area too. And I got relationships with all them people. So like you never know. But I'm speaking more of the center of that Earl Alchemist
Yeah,
universe. Like,
Arm the Hammer.
yeah, like I know all of them people, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not I think it would be overselling it to say that I'm a part of that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I don't have like I know Earl.
Hmm.
I've met Alchemist a couple times,
Hmm.
but there's no like real relationship there. Do you know what I'm saying? So like I don't foresee that changing anytime soon. You never
You
know,
never
shit.
know. You never
But
know.
I'm certain I'm not holding my breath. I'll say that.
Alchemist was like, "Yo, put on that Open Mike Eagle qualifiers real quick. Oh, let me see something." And then you get
I
you get
think
a.
I think I'm. You know what I'm saying? You remember how we spent a lot of this conversation talking about how I do this fucking comedy shit? I don't think Alchemist is into that shit. I really don't. I couldn't see him fucking yucking it up. You know what I'm saying? Like I couldn't see it.
He's like, yeah. Let's get him on the track. And then you're like, you get a random. You better check your spam. You've never seen Uncle Al email like 3-4 years ago, being like, "Hey, I want you on this. I want you on this Mavi track."
Yeah, I tell you this. If that's what his intention was, he certainly could have said that to me in person a couple times now. And he has not. Shout out to Al. You know what I'm
Shout out to
saying?
Al.
Shout out to Al all day. I fuck with everything he's doing. I was at the show in LA. It was so beautiful. It was beautiful, man. There was this moment during the Arm & Hammer set where Arm & Hammer brought out Quelle Chris, Cavalier, Pink Seafood. They had Haram DJing for him.
Damn.
It was like, yo.
All the backwoods just missing Fatboy Sharif.
You know what I'm saying? It was like and I'm talking about a big full ass room. Like there had to be 1,000 people in this place. And like I was telling him, I almost got fucking emotional. For real. Denmark, Vessi, like they was all on that stage in front of all of them people having this most beautiful moment. And like just knowing them how I know them, like I know like these are my brothers right here. I just talked about people who I didn't have a relationship with. These are people like everybody who I just named. I have relationships with all of these people from years.
Yeah.
So it was so beautiful to see them up there in that moment. Like it really damn near brought me to tears. It was fucking special as fuck.
Yeah. I mean, you've been in the trenches with these guys,
Exactly.
You know? So
exactly. And I don't think any of us thought that was in the cards. You know what I'm saying? Like no matter what heights we saw for ourselves, I don't think we saw that, you know? So shout out to Uncle Al for that.
Yo, shout out Uncle Al. I ran into him one time. No, I ran into him a couple times actually. Funniest last time though was I'm walking through the San Gennaro. They have this festival out here, San Gennaro, and it's like an Italian festival. They do it for like 2 weeks or something. No, it's like actually like 3 weeks, and then mad Italian food, right? And I'm just walking through it. I run into Alchemist, just mad randomly, and I'm like, I go, "Oh snap, Uncle Al!" And he turns to me, he's like, "So," and I just hit him with the pound, like, and that was it. I was just like, "That's all I need. I don't need."
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Like I run into people who I have mad respect for all the time, and I don't know, and I try to keep it fucking. Maybe say a couple words and then bounce, and then there are people who look at me that way, and I appreciate it when they don't say 1,000 words. You know what I'm saying? Because it can be a lot if you're in a situation where you're not expecting that.
Oh yeah, for sure. So we're towards the end of the podcast, and usually I ask another question, but it's mostly deals with like. I'll ask it another time when you're on here again. But recently we just lost DJ Clark Kent, and so you recently did a video, and you spliced it from your live stream, which was amazing. Everybody check out
the morning show.
Yeah, check out the morning show. You'll see me in there.
There you go.
So I wanted to do something special. Well, special. I don't know, but since for me, he's always been sneakers for me, and for you, he's been hip hop.
Yeah.
So like, if you could, in so many words, talk about his impact for you, and I'll tell you my because I feel like we're gonna share two different sides that complete one whole. So
I spoke about this a little bit on the morning show. Like my first time I ever became aware of him was this whole fucking Dana Dane video from like 1989 or some shit where they throw it to Clark Kent and he does this very simple DJ cut, but then at the end of it, he opens his shirt up and he got the Superman. I was like, oh, it's so hard. And then just from years, like my real experience with him is just seeing his name on so many credits. And not even really ever putting it together. Wait a minute. This dude did this beat and this beat and this beat and this beat. So like memories from Slick Rick is one of my favorite fucking songs. Junior Mafia Players Anthem, fucking How We Roll from Cannabis, like just all of these different crazy beats and songs he put together that I had like. It's like it's not that I had no idea, because I did open these liner notes and see this name, but I never really sat and put the full picture together. Like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
the same dude who opened his shirt up and had the S on his chest in the late 80s has been there this whole time, like making banger after banger after banger after banger. And then I watched the interview he did with Math Hoffa, where he was really talking about some of the part he played in the early career of Biggie and the early career of Jay-Z. And I didn't know about none of that shit. So like till like, was that a year ago when that interview came out? Maybe a little more than that. I had no idea. Like, so he was a person who he had become in the back of my head one of my dream what had happened was guests for my podcast. Like
that would have been sick.
Yeah,
bro.
right. Like just being able to cover all of the things he was a part of. Like so it's just like a giant in hip hop, but like a silent giant, which is just hella rare in hip hop culture, to like have somebody that influential that don't feel like they need to be in front of the camera all the time. You know,
I mean, that's dope. You got to also check out the Juan Ep episode that he does, because he breaks down
the what episode?
Juan Ep. I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
Because it's really good.
Shout out to Rosenberg.
Yeah, shout out to Rosenberg and Syph. So for me, my first, I guess, experience with Clark Kent was he used to do the show on Complex called Quick Strike. And it was basically like, in layman's terms, Sports Center, but with sneakers.
Wow.
Right? From then on, I've every Wednesday I was just like, gotta get on it, right? And from then, you know, you hear about these legendary stories on the forums, like, oh yeah, Clark Kent went to Baltimore just for a pair of linen Air Force Ones, and you know, you hear about that. Then like Clark was this, I want to say, he was like, you know, like the head, what is it, the Oz, the Wizard of Oz, like you know, you talk about Oz, whatever. He was like this like overseer of like, oh, if this is what needs to be like cool in sneaker culture, then it has to be cool by Clark standards, right?
Oh shit, okay.
So years go on, and you know, he always said, it's funny because my favorite Air Force One is an Air Force One mid, right? And that's the one with like the strap in the middle, not the strap on the top like the Rasheed Wallace ones, the highs, but there's like a strap in the middle. And he would go on Quick Strike and be like, if you're wearing mids, they're trash. So like,
so he was talking to you directly.
He was talking to me directly, right? So I've met him a couple times, right? And as you were saying, you know, he was one of your dream guests for What Happened Was. He was one of my dream guests for this podcast, right? I ran into him last year at Complex Con, and I didn't really get to say much to him because it's one of those moments where it's like, I want to save it for that moment where I get him on the podcast, right? So got to speak to him and be like, you know, gave him my sticker, and I talked to him for like a hot second and be like, yo, you know, what do you think about this? Blah, blah, blah. That wasn't the first time I met him. First time I met him was at SneakerCon, the first SneakerCon out here. And he pulled up, said what up. And I got to say, this is before I thought about podcasting, before I thought about like writing about sneakers or doing anything with sneakers. And so for me, it was just like, oh, I got to meet somebody I actually like look up to. You know, fast forward now, and I interviewed the other person the other co-host of that show, Russ Bankston. He's,
I know, me and Russ follow each other on a bunch of platforms.
Yeah. And, you know, shout out Russ, and always appreciative for letting me interview him. And it's like, that was like, yeah, I can't wait to get Clark on, you know, and hearing his passing definitely, it leaves in the culture itself. And I feel like in both cultures, it leaves a giant hole because he was one, that he was always trying to push everything forward. He was never trying to keep it all to himself. Like even his first couple of videos is like what that video that everybody's been posting is, it's the how to DJ video. You know, I feel like, right? Is it, or is it just him spinning? It's one of those.
I don't know if I've seen it.
I'll send that to you. You're gonna have like several texts from me after this, but
the debrief.
Yeah, debrief. But I remember, yeah, he's just like, he always pushed both cultures forward. He was always about this, and it's sad that we had to lose him. You know,
real.
So yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Let everybody know where to find you.
You can find me being sad at my house, thinking about everybody we lost.
Yeah.
But, I'm I'm Open Mike Eagle. You can find me on Twitter still, unfortunately, at Mike_Eagle there, at Open_Mike_Eagle on Instagram. I got a website. It's got all that shit listed on it too, MikeEagle.net. But yeah, YouTube, Twitch, just check me out. Search Open Mike Eagle on anything and something will pop up.
Anything.
I mean, actually, if you search me on Pornhub, something will come up. It ain't porn, but something with me will come up. It will. I'm not even bullshitting. I think I'm in 2 different videos on Pornhub. I am fully clothed in both of them. Fully clothed.
I would hope so. I'm
gonna let you know. Don't be scared.
Because if it's like somebody's like, yo, let's film the scene to what's the JoJo song? Joestar? This Joestar song? I'm a Joestar.
Yeah. Ain't nothing like that. Nothing like that. Fully clothed.
And you know where to find me. I am Who Is Haas on all social medias. Follow the podcast at My First Kicks Pod. Follow the podcast on TikTok, My First Kicks Pod on TikTok. Follow the podcast. Like and subscribe, all that. If you're just listening to this, go onto YouTube. You can watch me and Mike have this in-depth conversation about his story on YouTube. My First Kicks on YouTube. And if you have a My First Kick story, hit me up, myfirstkickspod@gmail.com. And for everybody out there, we say each week, wear your kicks. Peace.